once I decide what I'm doing with wheel wells, I'll end up moving this off to the side somewhere, not so ugly, but it's there for now. Here's the intercooler, our heat exchanger mounted up. I basically used stock holes that were in the radiator support. I cut access holes so that I could get to the bolt on the other side, but it fits really nice. It's kind of in there on an angle right now. Can't really see it, but it's on a bit of an angle. If I want to straighten it out, I'll have to cut some off the back of the grill here and build some brackets to hold it nice and straight. But I'm going to see how it works like this for now. So like I was saying before with the intake air temperature, you end up just tying into the purple and the tan wires. So the two that go to this plug just get taped off, and then you tie your intake air temperature, which comes off the supercharger here, into those two wires, the purple and the tan. I'll also mention it does not matter which two wires hook to which two wires on the purple and tan, you just hook them up. Another thing I didn't really show anybody was this throttle by wire gas pedal. I installed it in the stock holes from the original gas pedal, and this is actually the stock pedal out of the 2010 Camaro SS, and yeah, the harness plugs right into it. So throttle by wire setup. Didn't really show much about my ECU and stuff. I mounted it in behind the glove box to the back of that aluminum heater box plate cover. Yeah, came with a fuel pump relay right there, which I wired all in with the harness and stuff. Everything's labeled in there. There's a few wires that I didn't use, like park neutral switch and just stuff that's not totally necessary, but it's there if you really like to have it. But yeah, that's where I mounted my computer, and the harness comes with a diagnostics plug that you can plug in. So I think you can plug in a whole set of aftermarket gauges, digital gauges into this, and put them on your dash if you wanted or whatnot. But yeah. So what I did to get my belt measurement is I just did what a guy on the forum was saying: use an old belt. This was a broken belt. I strung it around the way I needed on the pulleys, and then I actually used vice grips to hold it tight and then release the tension on the tensioner. Checked out where the line was sitting, and then when I got it where I liked it, I measured it. Came out with 92 1/4. When I went and got my belts, I ended up using 92 1/2, so I was pretty close. I had to go back to the parts store once or twice, but yeah, it's a good way to do it. Well, I've actually hooked up the battery. Didn't hear anything blow up, so that was good. I got my fuel line here tied in. Once the fuel pump primed, a bit of fuel came out. You had to wait a little while in between turning the key, and it'll pump some fuel out. I'm going to keep pumping out a bit more fuel. Okay, I've checked and double checked everything. I think this is the moment. I'm going to fire it up. This is an actual first fire up. I did not try and fire this car up before the video and say, oh yeah, look at it, just worked perfect. So I'm going to fire up and see what happens. It's going to be open headers too, so it's going to be loud. Maybe I'll give you guys a different view. So it started and it died. Let's try it again. Well, that's twice it died. compressors come stock, I think, at 47, 48 psi. I turned it up yesterday a little bit, and then I just went to turn it up after it fired up, and pretty sure it bottomed out, so backed it off a little bit. Don't want to be pumping 70 psi in there. Tape my phone here so I can see what the fuel pressure is doing when I start it. Well, after checking my harness instructions, troubleshooting, I followed every lead on there. Everything was good. And I just started poking around, looking. I figured, oh, I'll take off the mass airflow sensor and clean it up. And in doing so, I was looking at it. I realized I had this little tube on backwards. So the airflow wasn't registering in the sensor. So something pretty simple, but it stayed idling, so I'll give you another fire up shot here in a second once I put her all back together. Thing ran for about 20 minutes. Fans were kicking on and off. Didn't see any leaks other than a little bit of a leak on the dipstick tube, but that thing got bent up pretty bad on the drop in of the motor, so I'll just buy another one of those and slap it in. Should be good. No fuel leaks, no coolant leaks. Having a hard time getting this thing to burp, but I don't know. I might have got it, it might be full already, I'm not sure. And fuel pressure is sitting right around 60 at an idle, just below 60 when it's idling. And the tach doesn't seem to be registering properly, so I'll have to do a little research on that. Well, got my hood back on. Just wanted to make sure it cleared that supercharger, and cleared pretty good. I took that temporary air filter off of there for now. I'll have to work on building one of them setups next for that, and work on that cable column shift kit I got coming from Locar. We'll see how that goes. I checked the Moser rear end, the U-joint, and it fits the stock drive shaft U-joint. I got one sitting over here that I broke when I blew the rear end in this car a while back. Twisted her up. But yeah, the U-joint fits in the rear end housing there, and the stock cross member was maybe a 1/4 inch different where the tranny mounted, so I imagine the stock Regal drive shaft will work. And I just happened to have an 84 Buick Regal sitting behind the house complete, so I'll probably end up pulling that drive shaft out real quick just to get me rolling. And then I'll work on getting my brakes set up. I got a Willwood master cylinder, disc master cylinder coming, and I don't know, proportioning valve or something that will allow me to run the rear disc brakes on that Moser rear end. So yeah, can't really drive it until I get some brakes, but that stuff should be here soon. And one more thing, just keep everything you can from your donor car. There's been numerous times during this build that I was glad I kept every single thing I could when I thought, oh, I should just throw this out. But no, keep everything till the very end. You will thank yourself. Just want to give a shout out to the shop that did the rear end for me. They do a lot of work for me, actually. It's Cutting Edge Automotive and Performance in Kelowna, British Columbia. They're 3 brothers and a friend own the place, and they do really good work. Another good place that helped me out was Mopac Auto Parts in Langley. There's a guy there named Eric. The guy knows his shit. Every time I called and started talking about what I was going to order, he knew exactly what to get for me. And another guy, Brian, there helped me out a bit. And then there's a website called hotrodregal.com. That guy's done an LS swap, and pretty good one too. He's got lots of good information on that website. And then the LS1 Tech forums on the G-Body swap page, that's been a good help.